staff development trainer since they started. And I have known Susie Bunch. Susie and I got to know each other when she was in Nashville with the Department of Ed, and I manage a podcasting project that the Department of Ed has in iTunes University. And it's a great resource for you all to have. I'll be sharing that with you, as well as talking about the Mississippi podcasts that are being developed under the project that Susie is heading up and responsible for. One of the things we've been sharing this morning is that the podcasting project that is here for the Delta actually allows teachers to apply to have podcasts put in the iPods put in the classroom with a laptop, and you will use them for the year with your students and teaching them how to use the technology. And we still have spaces open, so as we talk about this morning and you want to see what that project is about, you should go up to room 340 for one of the sessions, and you can learn about that project and whether or not you want to be a part of it, because we have equipment that's not been asked for yet, and so it's on an application basis, but it's a great opportunity. If you don't know a great deal about technology, you are taught, so that's the first thing. I come in and work with the teachers and teach them how to use the applications as well as use the iPods, and it's a great opportunity for students to use the technology. We're going to start out this morning just kind of thinking a little bit about why is it important to change our practice, to do things differently, and what's happening with our students that they are, if they are not tuned in, they're often turned off. And how is it that we get them where they're more engaged in learning in the classroom? And sometimes that means that we have to think out of the box. We are really driven by the test across the country. But there are lots of things that we can do, and I'm a firm believer that students, the more they read, the more they write, the better they're going to do in any area. And so getting them to read is often the hard part. So if we can use the tools that they like to get them to do those things, then I think we're one step further along in engaging them. So I'm going to play this video for you. It's about maybe 5 or 6 minutes, but I think it's a really powerful video for us to really think about what is it that we're doing in our classroom, what is it that we can change in our classroom to engage our students, and then we're going to look at some websites and some areas that you can go that are free resources that don't require, it would just require a Mac or a PC and the internet to be able to access, and give you all some ideas of ways that you can engage the students in the way they like to be engaged. So we'll kind of go through those. One of the things that you'll, on the back of my business card is a tiny URL. Has anybody in here ever used a tiny URL before? All right, the tiny URL is designed, you know, sometimes somebody will give you a URL and it's so long that you have to type the whole thing in, and if you miss one little character, you've got to start over. Well, tinyurl.com is a site that you can actually go to and paste in that really long URL, and it gives you a nice short one that you can actually use to access that same site. It's a really great thing because a lot of times kids don't type very well, and they spend more time typing in the URL than actually getting to look at that URL site. So this is a great resource to actually do. So on the back is going to take you to this site. This site will be up. It will stay up. It has some of the things that we're going to look at. We won't have time to look at everything, but there's also a PDF file that you can download, and then you can take that document, and it has literally probably 100 sites that you can go and see different things, tools, and resources that you can use. They're kind of categorized: math, language arts, social studies, so you'll have access to that. All right, so let's take a minute and look at if we have been paying attention. instructors how they can actually change their practice and do things differently to really pull those kids back in. Our kids are so visual today that paper and pencil is just not the answer if we're going to actually engage them to learn. Now, there's some things that we have to do as paper and pencil. There's certain things that but if we can mix it up and ask those difficult questions in an engaging way, then we're going to get more out of them. So what we want to do today is look at what are some of those tools and resources that we can actually use. So the very first one that we're going to do is get your phones out. This can be done on a phone, it can be done on a laptop, it can be done on an iPod if you've got internet access in your school. And how many of you all have students that have iPods in their hands already? How many of you have students with iPhones in their hands already? How many have phones? We got a lot of those, surely. Now, schools certainly has some restrictions on what we are able to do, but Poll Everywhere is a great site. Is there anybody that's ever used Poll Everywhere? It is a free site. You log in, you create an account, and you go in and set up the polling question that you want. And my polling question is, have you ever used wikis or blogs with your students? Now, the students, if you have laptops available and a cart that's rolling around and you want to do this one day, you would get your laptop out and the students would actually access pollwiththenumber4.com. And that will give them a screen that has an oval, and they're going to type their answer in that oval. Now, we're going to do it differently because you've got your phones, and we're going to actually text. So I'm going to go out to Poll Everywhere, and you will see our question generated on the poll. Now, this was from the last class that I had, so we're just going to kind of add to it to see what our total is today. And what you do is, as if you were texting somebody's phone number, you're going to put 22333 in your contact. And then your answer is going to be, yes, I use wikis and blogs. You're going to in your text area, type in 32116. And if you don't or haven't, you're going to do 32153. And then you'll send it, and we'll watch what happens. Let me get out of your way so you can see the numbers. So in the phone number area is where you put the 22333, and then in the text area is where you put the number, whether your answer is yes or no. And then you hit send, and you will begin to see this dynamically begin to show our percentage and change. Now, I did this with a group of students.
The numbers.
But that's okay, because that's something that we want to know. It really does help you. The numbers show how many people have taken it. We have a total of 30 people now. So we have a larger percentage that haven't. When I did this with a class of 7th graders, I had a math teacher who was really struggling getting his students to be engaged. So I said, well, what are you studying? And he said, I'm doing angles. I'm doing acute, obtuse, and right angles. So I said, all right, I want you to take this digital camera. I want you to go around the school, and I want you to take pictures of those angles. We put those angles into a video movie that he could present to the students. So he would pull up an angle, and then the students on their computer had poll4.com up, and they had 3 numbers. One was for obtuse, one was for a right angle, and one was for an acute angle. And they had to put the number in as to what that picture represented. So he knew immediately whether the class understood what that angle was, and then he could speak to the point of if the majority missed it, he needed to reteach that. And the kids were so engaged by watching the polling going up and down each time that we did it, that we went through our entire class with everybody being on task as we went through it.